So, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat. The event program is about to begin.
All the things, yeah.
I'll send you.
Are. That's awesome.
Amazing.
Cynthia's. Kind of go like that route.
Hello. Oh my God, I forgot those. Each of Melissa sees what she. I think it's like, yeah, I'll see other thing.
Twenty years old.
And I was like, actually, you really started.
You
You gotta know.
have our own fund for that. Also for the business. Sit on.
My business partner.
Oh, so sit up on that.
On the six.
Oh, yeah.
My partner, yeah.
I sit on the board that. And sorry. If you invest in different types of companies, I would probably have it portfolio. See, everything. About it does. So your business. The system. Everybody is one of them.
Get your cards there. Oh, I'd like her.
Go back. Oh, okay.
That's my favorite. There's number one to.
So would they, and they're.
Yeah. Like.
Contractors. I can find.
Sending me.
Close.
Okay.
You've been running around, throwing that dirt all on my name. Cause I knew that I'd.
You think Josh, right, and I don't connect you.
Oh.
Right. It's not, I don't know. Well, yeah, I know, but I didn't care. I think you do.
Yeah, make sure that they're there.
Yeah.
Like a lot of our clients. Contract. They send off. Eli.
Hi, Eli.
So,
Like you're right, second, I wrote.
Romy, I'm all about you.
You did it? That was from previous.
Michelle.
Oh.
Romy and Michelle.
Oh, God. Feel like I stepped into that.
I heard great stuff. You're the Daily Trip, right? I saw it. Cool. I signed up. I have you been at your website. I always have to work with them. Yeah.
Well, I was saying,
I do. No way.
in the sense that we have all of our programs. We post those associations and, you know, we moved out of.
But no, I was like, you know, there's so many.
I make.
Okay, yeah, I listen. Yeah.
She emailed me and told me about it.
I wouldn't make my war.
Those places up there.
So, no, it's, there's so many great.
Traffic.
I do it every day.
Hard to figure out, get up on it.
Yeah, but
We got that.
I invite.
oh, yeah, right.
I think. For me to see them. That's good. Then
Something
it's
needs to do
nearby.
with Spark Award
Oh,
for entry.
well,
Yes.
R stands for where you promoting office. Oh, I never. And we have 5,000.
This is the-
Oh, and the mayor this year.
I will be there.
One of his.
They just,
Go here. I'll make sure.
he's closer to that. Child labor.
What was the business?
Oh, that was, she wrote over, she put it in the bag.
Something wrong.
Put it all together?
I have to get the collating. Holding,
I was in talking. It was hard hat showing up for. Yeah, my parents were business. During a time, my father actually passed away, we're successfully married and partnered. And my uncle. Business partner.
looks like.
It's good examples.
This guy here, he's like,
Actually.
oh.
That, going through buildings.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Contractors. Oh, they're fine.
Yep.
What a good idea.
I'm sure.
That's about it.
But it.
No, I don't.
They keep sending me a note.
Yeah.
She's.
Yeah.
Marianella.
I'm gonna be there that day.
Yeah. I'm on vibrate.
Yeah, I wanted to work.
Good morning, leaders and innovators. Welcome to the Better Business Bureau Tech Talk. Today, we're celebrating progress, purpose, and the bold women who lead beyond the traditional path. Guiding this conversation is our host and moderator, Cynthia Lavin. Cynthia serves as Vice President of Communications and Community Engagement for the Better Business Bureau serving Southeast Florida and the Caribbean, where she brings more than a decade of experience driving strategic growth for globally recognized brands. a proud FIU alumna and a board member of Junior Achievement of South Florida. She is also a trusted media spokesperson and a strong advocate for technology and innovation. Please join me in welcoming a leader dedicated to trust, impact, and empowering the next generation, Cynthia Lavin.
Wow, that's amazing. Who did that? It wasn't me. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to join us this morning. We have an amazing panel for you. I sure hope that you enjoy it. I know it's early. I know there was a lot of traffic. And again, thank you for taking the time to be here. I'd like to welcome the person whose idea it was to have this panel. He is a person who is a supporter of women-owned businesses and a champion on the advancement of women in the workplace. And he's been a wonderful mentor in the past 10 years. Our CEO, Rod Davis.
What a pleasure. It's so great to see so many people. One of the things that's always interesting about Southeast Florida is all the connections that we have, and we bring people together, and they know somebody and they know somebody, and you should be there, and let's share and let's get out. And I met my new best friend, Romy, today. I had seen her website because I go in and peek and see who's coming, who should I know that I don't know yet. And she was one of the ones, and I was like, God, I love what you do. We need to talk. And that's really one of the things that these events give us an opportunity to do. So I'm really excited to be here with you all. One of the other things that this event is doing is it's helping us raise money for a scholarship. So we are going to start a scholarship for women in tech and trades. And we'll be putting together a team that will look at the nominations that come in and make the selection and award the scholarship. I think we're somewhere up around $3,000 already, which is nice. And I'm supposed to recognize Raynette Romaine from Revi Wellness. Oh, I did good. She made a big contribution, really appreciate it. So thank you so much. If you are so inclined and you want to support that kind of a scholarship, 100% will go toward the individual scholarship. There's no admin fee or anything on top of it. And it's going to go toward like tools for a woman in a tech area or a trades area or laptop, whatever is needed for somebody in tech. And the team will be putting together the criteria for that and the process. So we're really excited about that, but really excited about the group we have here today. I can't think of three better ladies to come up and share their experience than Rebecca, Melissa, and Jody. Jody is amazing. She's on our board, and Cynthia will give you a little intro, but it's sometimes the quiet people who get the most done. And she's amazing. We have such a great board. I also want to recognize a couple of our other board members here. Eli, thank you, Eli, for coming. Eli is our treasurer and could be my chair soon, I think, if Bruce doesn't blackball him. Bruce is here. He's also on our board. And Lubna is here. She's another member of our board and part of the Miami Business Council, which we're excited to be working with them as well. And do I have any other? I have a former board member here, Lucretia, who we hope to get back involved with us more directly in the future. So welcome to everybody. I hope it's a great learning experience for you, networking experience, and Cynthia will get the panel started.
Thanks, John. Before I welcome our panel, I'd like to give a special shout out to Bernice Morris. And when I call your name, please wave or stand up. Bernice Morris from the Office of the Mayor of North Miami Beach, and Daniela Jean, if you're here, please wave. Carola Reina from Miami Emprendedores, wonderful partner of ours. Humberto Camela from Chamber South. And then Lynn Lissell from Inner Power Partners, also a great partner of ours. So thank you again for being here. Now I'm going to introduce our wonderful panel. And as I call them, please just come up and take your seats. So we have Jody Weber. Jody Weber is the Chief Executive Officer and sole owner of Federal Engineering and Testing, Inc., making it proudly 100% woman-owned, WBENC and WOSB certified company. She also serves as a board member for a Better Business Bureau, and she is on the board for the Greater Pompano Chamber of Commerce. And lastly, she's president of the board for National Women in Construction for Lauderdale chapter. Thank you, Jody, for being here. Then I have Melissa Medina. Melissa is the co-founder and CEO of Emerge Americas, with a mission of helping transform South Florida into a global tech hub. Melissa has over 20 years of experience as an entrepreneur, operator, investor, as well as community leader and philanthropist. The Emerge Americas signature event launched in 2014, and it's a global tech conference held annually at the Miami Beach Convention Center. Some of you may have heard about it. They've had Pitbull. It's a fun event, so I definitely recommend you check it out. And last but not least, we have Rebecca Dog. She is the CEO of the IABBB, International Association of Better Business Bureaus, governing hub for over 90 BBBs, including our BBB here in South Florida. She is re-architecting the digital platform, unlocking BBB's century of data and securing its standing as a standard for trust. Former executive at HBO and Google, YouTube, and founder of tech company Exponent EBI. Thank you, ladies, for being here today.
Thank you.
And we're going to go ahead and get started. Please save all of the questions to the end. We will have time for questions. And if there's anyone you want to connect with of the people that I mentioned, please make sure you look for them or ask Key. She's in the back. Don't shake your head, no. Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about wrong paper. Okay, so let's start with origin stories. And please feel free to chime in and, just take turns. So what moment or challenge shaped the leader you are today? Who wants to go ahead and get started?
Oh, if you want to, I'll kick it off.
Yeah.
Well, there's multiple, I think, layers that got me where I am today. I'd say first and foremost, the challenge that my grandparents faced in fleeing a communist country in the middle of the night with my dad and aunt, putting them on a boat and making that treacherous, plight to freedom in the United States. I think that is ingrained in my DNA, that resiliency and learning from my grandparents, the fortitude that they had. Because I can't, as a mom of 5, I just can't imagine right now putting them through that. So I think that would be the first challenge that my family faced that I think definitely composes much of who I am. Specifically with Emerge Americas and the company that I run and co-founded, the challenge that got us, my father and I, to co-found this company was the fact that nobody was really taking South Florida seriously in terms of tech, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And we like challenges. We're also risk takers and felt that that void in the market was an opportunity to showcase the fact that we believe South Florida had all the elements to become a thriving tech hub. And these conversations between him and I started in 2011. And kind of going back to my narrative story, that passion for our community is what really kept us here in South Florida and what made us drive to build a strategic platform convening catalysts of innovation to help share that narrative of South Florida far and wide. And now we've been doing that for over 12 years.
Thank you. I definitely can relate being Cuban American. So
it's many of our stories, right, here in South Florida. I speak for a lot of people.
Hello. I think one of the challenges for me is that I, came from a single parent household and I didn't really grow up, around my father. I am the second generation owner of his business, and there were a lot of challenges taking over that role because I'm not an engineer and I wasn't respected because not only did I not come from that trade, but I am a woman. There was a lot of struggle with taking over and learning and experiencing new things. I had to take it head on and I wasn't prepared at all. So that was a big hurdle that I had to overcome. And, I have been learning every day for the past like almost 6 years now of trying to become better and grow and come out of my shell and, lead and understand my employees and my clients and everybody's needs and try to do my best to just keep on going. So that's, it's been a challenge.
So,
Ooh. It's really inspiring. So I've been at the intersection of technology and media and brand for 25 years. And very early in my career, I was often the only woman. I was very often the youngest. And one of the things that shaped me as a leader is I had an incredible boss at the time who put me in rooms that I should have never been in. And it was really scary. And so many people made it very difficult. But it really shaped how I lead, not only how I lead the team members that I'm privileged to work with, but also how I carry myself and walk into any room. I think it's really critical as we're thinking through how we help lift one another up, really putting folks in situations that they're probably not ready for just yet, but really pushing them in a way that's encouraging and supportive. And so that's made a big difference because as I was growing up, I could have never imagined that I would be sitting here right here in the role that I am. But each step along the way really culminated, in my technology background and my media background, has really brought me to this moment that that I find very exciting. Not just for my company and my industry, but across the board. I think that this is a moment in time that we can all be really excited about because things are coming together in a way that's supportive and where we can be individual and we can bring our whole selves to our work. And that's not how, at least in my career, how I felt I could show up. I didn't feel like I could show up as my whole self. So I'm really excited to be here and incredibly honored to be sitting alongside women.
Yeah, I think a lot of sink or swim moments before you arrive to leadership as a woman, so I can definitely relate. What early barrier became a strength or superpower for you, ladies? Jody?
For me, I think just growing up fast, I worked like 3 jobs in high school. It was just my mom and I for the most part. And I learned what it was like to have to work hard. And I think a lot of my leadership style is based off of that, having worked in fast food and restaurants and retail. Retail's the worst. Um, having done that, you have a a respect for your employees and the work that they do every day, and the type of you know things they have to deal with. Doesn't always go smooth. There's always problems. Everything isn't perfect out in the field, and you understand more of what it's like to deal with those things for them. So whenever they come to you with problems and you want to help them, um, because you've experienced it. So I just feel like me having to do all that hard work at a young age and me being, working bad jobs and not liking my manager or being treated like, I don't matter. It's reflected my leadership style because to me, I want all of my employees to matter. And if you ask any of them, they would say that they matter 100% to me. I would do anything for them. And so I think that alone has really just impacted how I lead and take care of my people. Just because I've been there, I didn't grow up, with my dad who owned a business and all this fancy stuff. I was the small guy on the totem pole always. So for me, just being there for them is the most important thing and, learning from those experiences in my past.
I love being underestimated. It is hilarious. And to me, and of course, over time, it evolves and changes. But whether it's because you're a woman or you're underrepresented in some way, being underestimated is one of the greatest gifts anyone can give you. And I like to tease it out a little bit. And when I see it coming, I sort of sit back. But it helps you take in a lot of data, right? When that judgment is coming your way. And Jody, I love your stories, because we all come to the table with all of the experiences of our life. And that allows us to walk into a room, connect the dots, understand what's happening. And too often, we judge one another very quickly. And that is a moment of opportunity, I think, in a lot of ways, when certainly in my world, I'm a change agent, right? And so I love it when I get underestimated because it gives me a little bit of a head start. And it allows me to take in the information, because a judgment is information, right? It's data. Take in that information and understand how to pivot. And so I think that that's a huge learning lesson for me. And really, it has become a superpower, just being underestimated in general. And by the way, the expectations are really low. So, that works out well too. You can definitely over deliver when you're underestimated.
I mean, I completely channel a lot of what Jody and both Rebecca said. I'd say, the biggest barrier early on in my career was probably one person, and that was myself. And I think that stems from just confidence and experience. I had to constantly tell myself that I was worthy of the position that I was in for multiple reasons. One is I've always been in the tech world, and it's male dominated. I'm Latina, that's another layer there too. Even less female Latinas in this tech industry. And then add the layer of my father and I, being business partners and co-founders as well. And, was she given that? And me thinking that and having to tell myself, I've went to undergraduate school. I got my master's in international business. I worked for 10 years before we co-founded a company together. And there was really no one putting that pressure on me except myself. And I think once I learned to have confidence in myself, not underestimate myself, believed that I belonged in the room, I think that changed a lot of my trajectory as a leader. Also, finding my own. I'm extremely inspired by my father. We work together on a daily basis. I've learned a lot from him, but I also, am my own person and my own leader and have my own leadership style. I'd like to think I see my team as an extension, but my leadership style is very lateral, and I hope my team would agree. Two of my amazing female team members are here, and I love them bringing ideas. There's no dumb idea, and seeing if we can build that together. The team feeling that they're building this organization alongside and together is a big way of my leadership style. But for sure, early on, my biggest barrier was myself and my own confidence.
I can definitely relate to that. So there's a lot of conversation nowadays about purpose. When you're leading with purpose and people want to consume and be associated to brands and other people that lead with purpose. What does leading with purpose mean in your industry, and how has it guided major decisions? And please feel free to, whoever wants to jump in. Rebecca?
Well, leading with purpose is everything. And I've only been with BBB for 4 months. And I've had the incredible privilege of spending decades in some of the largest, most respected brands in the world with incredible content, incredible engagement. And one of the things that I love about BBB is I am able to bring to the table all of the tools that I acquired through those years of experience and apply them in a way that I really believe and are value aligned with me, right? And I have the privilege of being able to influence an organization and people and use all the skills that I have and have developed over the course of my career for something that I really believe in. I really believe in local communities. I really believe in coming together. That's what BBB is all about. I really believe in SMBs, and that makes North America what it is today. And so for me, leading with purpose personally is being able to bring with me all of the experiences and expertise that I've gained over the course of a really exciting, sometimes hard career, and being able to apply it in a way where I have extreme pattern recognition, right? I don't come from the BBB world. Rod, I think, what, 41 years? So he's got
water too.
he's got 40 years on me, right? Thank you. But the federated networks that I've managed really, it really rhymes with what we're doing here. The media and the brand and the technology and launching new products, all of those things I'm able to really bring to the BBB. And I'm really excited about our future. And I think I bring a unique perspective because of all of the tools that I'm bringing along. So I am thrilled to be able to marry together what I think is very value aligned. And that to me is career purpose, right? I mean, my real purpose is my family. But from a career perspective, being able to align that and be the same person showing up to my job every day that I show up with my family, I think is really powerful. And that makes me better at my job. It makes me, frankly, a better mother, right? Because everything is very aligned.
For me, there's nothing more important than leading with purpose and impact. And I think a lot of people would think, oh, well, Emerge Americas, it's a tech company, entrepreneurial, innovative, forward thinking, but may not necessarily think impact or social impact or purpose. And it's completely the opposite for us and our team. We are extremely passionate about what we're building, and it really is about what is the impact that it's creating in our community. And we track all of that. And that is probably the heart and soul of the work that we do, empowering entrepreneurs, having them connect with the tools to help them scale, because then they are successful here, they create jobs here. All of that is our mission-driven purpose as an organization. And it truly threads through all of our programmatic effort. We're well known for the conference, right? The annual conference that we host every spring at the Miami Beach Convention Center. And we do a lot beyond the conference throughout the year. But at the conference specifically, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, someone came up to me and said, I've attended hundreds of tech conferences in my career, and I had to pull you aside and tell you something really unique. And she said to me, you know what, Emerge Americas has a soul. And that, from that day on, kind of stuck with us as an organization. I said this story to the team, and I said, we're doing something right if someone is coming up to tell us that we have a soul. They saw that we were creating purpose much beyond, the connection of technology.
Purpose for me, specifically, in my organization, number one is, we work in construction, we do engineering. So safety is one of the biggest things for me. We're working on real jobs with, real people, and just caring about the people who do the day-to-day work in my company and making sure that, they're taken care of, because at the end of the day, they're taking care of all of you. They're working on parking garages, roadways, sometimes bridges, when houses are being built. So my purpose, is to just go back to the basics, make sure all of my employees are happy, make sure that they're safe, make sure that everything that is happening inside my organization is geared towards taking care of them and making sure that they're okay, and so is their families, and just, being the type of leader that looks out for their people. We're a small company, we have 24 employees. So I feel it's my duty and my purpose to look out for every single one of them and be there for them when they need me, whether it's just to have a conversation, be a shoulder to lean on, somebody to talk to if they're having a tough time, helping people out and just being there for them. That is a big part of my personal purpose with work, is just being that extended person that they might need at times. And, caring about all the projects and things that we work on from a day-to-day basis, not worrying about making an extra dollar, but if something's not right, firing the people that we're doing the work for. Like if a contractor is going to do unethical work, not want to pull permits, want to do things incorrectly, that, it doesn't impact me, but it'll impact who's buying the property or who's going to be living there. I don't want to work with people like that. So my purpose is to make sure that everything is ethical, that I can sleep at night, make sure my employees are taken care of, and just make sure everything is okay. That's my purpose.
Definitely rewarding. So how do you ladies balance empathy and authority as a woman leading in male-dominated industries? I know still after 10 years with BBB, I'll be sitting in a room and I look around and I'm like, I'm still the only woman here. And I'm very fortunate to have a leader that has always included women, but it still happens. So how do you balance that?
I don't think they're two opposite sides of the spectrum. And I think, I'm the chief empathy officer, right? Because you have to understand people in order to engage and get the best out of them. And influence is authority. And so for me, it's not about balancing it. It's about ensuring that I lead with integrity. And by the way, that is uncomfortable sometimes for people, and standing up and making sure that people understand how to treat you. That's not always, empathy doesn't mean everybody's going to love it, right? Empathy means you understand and you seek to first to understand. And I think it's critical, no matter what role you're in, no matter who you are, no matter what business you're in, the only way that you can move forward is by understanding who's sitting across the table and figuring out a way to come together in a way that that propels you both forward.
For me, I lead with empathy, but at the end of the day, I am authoritative in a way that I have to make decisions, and I just focus on what has to be done, and I want to be able to sleep at night. So, I don't really know what else to say. That's it.
No, I agree. I think there's a combination between being empathetic and assertive, and I don't think I do think it's combined. I think also probably the biggest advice, if any, I would give is leading by example. And I think that derives assertiveness and empathy. I may drive my team crazy because I might be the first one that's emailing in the morning or slacking in the morning, and I'm sending slacks at 11 p.m. or on a Saturday and Sunday when I get some time, to catch up. But I caveat that by saying, I don't expect you to respond to me at this time. Family time is important, days offs are important. So I think communicating, being as transparent as possible, why you expect certain things. And also, again, I think going back to how you are as a leader and what you're showing, I think is a big part of that formula.
Yeah, a lot of times you do it because it pops in your mind. So you say, let me just schedule this. I start scheduling things at 11 o'clock. I'm like, so that they don't get it.
Yeah, and I think everybody plans differently, right? I have 5 children, and Sundays for me are actually the best day to carve out some work time. I know that sounds crazy, but I plan my entire week for my children and for myself for work. And that's where I try to find balance and scheduling or having to reschedule. So Sundays, I pop off a lot of messages as I'm catching up and preparing for the next week. And so everyone's going to plan a little differently. That's just kind of personal.
So what's one practical thing organizations can do right now to elevate purpose-driven women leaders?
Who are you hiring? You know, our executive team is female led. Our team of just over 20 are predominantly women. And so I think, you know, potentially that's the buck stops with you, right? Who are you bringing to the table?
And I think Rebecca and Jody will agree, right?
Yes, definitely. I agree. I have several women who work in the field as field technicians. I also just hired a new professional engineer who is a woman. I think that is a great way is to hire women and, you know, get them involved in things and have them be a part of the community and work, you know, everybody work together to, you know, help advance women. There's lots of, you know, things that you can do for them. Make sure that they're getting the correct education, mentorship, and leadership opportunities, and just give them a chance. I mean, a lot of women aren't given the chance. Just let them lead, give them the opportunity. I'm pretty sure everybody would be surprised. Women can pretty much do anything. So
I don't know who's surprised by that. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think we need to be very intentional every day. Every day we're intentional, we're thoughtful, because too often as we're all racing through the days and getting the job done, you fall back on what is most familiar. And in organizations, in communities where there are historically marginalized or unrepresented communities, the same is going to continue if you're not very, very intentional about it. I will also say I am a big believer in speaking about people in rooms that matter, and really making sure that people know who actually does the work. And I'm not sure that's, at least in my career. It's been hard to see people take credit in a lot of cases for other people's work. So I am very adamant about ensuring that credit is given where credit is due. And I believe that disproportionately impacts women because women don't always speak up for themselves. And men, you know, just sorry to overgeneralize, it comes much more naturally to step up and speak about all of your own accolades. And I think women have been conditioned to step back a little bit. And so it's incumbent upon all of us, and certainly leadership, to speak up on behalf of the people who are doing the work. And by the way, sometimes the most qualified person for a job is a man. You know, it's not always, and that's okay, right? You know, so the reality of it is, you just really pay attention to the people who are doing good quality work, and you make sure that you're talking about those people in the right rooms.
Talking about career and growth, what career risk or move accelerated your trajectory? And I like for Melissa to start because we talked about, you know, believing in yourself earlier.
Like, what was the biggest risk?
Yeah, what was the biggest risk you've taken so far?
I mean, I think no question, starting an organization in an industry that we had zero experience in, because although we had experience in the tech sector, having worked in IT infrastructure and cloud computing before co-founding Emerge Americas, essentially the first project of our mission, which still to this day remains the same, right? Elevating the tech ecosystem in South Florida. The first project was creating a world-class conference. And it was a bold, risky move for two reasons. One, again, we had zero experience in this sector. And two, it wasn't top of mind as it is today, right? Miami Tech, South Florida Tech, Florida Tech.
It wasn't a conversation.
Right, it wasn't a conversation. So it was an uphill battle in two different ways. But challenges, I mean, bring them on. I get super excited by challenges and changes. And we've gone through a lot as an organization. I'm sure everybody here was dramatically affected by COVID, whether personally or professionally. For us in particular, we had our best year ever as an organization in 2019. And for the first time, Emerge Americas, the conference, was in March of 2020, just because of the way the dates fell. And so when the world shut down, second week of March, we were already beginning our build out. And that was probably the scariest time for multiple reasons. Again, is our company going to collapse? Is our family going to be safe? Because nobody knew how this COVID was going to unravel. And the glasses half full sort of mentality for me was calling every single one of our partners and letting them know, I promise that whenever we all figure this out as a nation, we're going to deliver on what we promised you. And having those phone calls, having that trust, building relationships, something my parents taught me at a very, very, very young age was always keep your word. And I think that goes a very long way in any aspect of your life, because sometimes you can't deliver on your word for reasons outside of your control. But if you're talking about it and having a conversation about it as opposed to running away from it, that builds a bond and a trust in the person you're dealing with that I think manifests itself over and over a long period of time. So long story short, there were a lot of risks and challenges when we first started, and there's been many since, but we always take risks as an opportunity in the investment landscape as well. Rebecca?
So I'm a change agent, and in organizations that need change, oftentimes the organism will reject a foreign body, right? The antibodies are activated. And so in any one of my iterations through this career journey, it's a huge risk to step in and say, what brought us to the dance is beautiful and it needs to be respected. And we need to change it because what brought us here isn't going to bring us to the next step. And so for me, and it does, it has happened cyclically through my career, the biggest risks I've taken are really things that I've believed have been the right thing, but systemic issues and organizational challenges really hold back progress because there is a huge resistance to change. And it's understandable when folks have been succeeding and doing something the same way for years and years and decades, that pattern recognition is very strong and muscle memory is very strong, as I like to say. So for me, it's really the risk is being so resolute and laser focused on what the end goal is and what the mission is, that all of the other things are noise. And really taking a deep breath and looking around and bringing folks along with me. Because it doesn't really matter if I race to the end and nobody's there with me. We have to bring everyone together. So I think that from a risk perspective, it's really believing in what the end goal is, but then taking the risk to not be rejected by the organism and sort of stand up to the antibodies that are trying to reject you from the system.
Jody, I know you're a risk taker, so
I actually don't take a lot of risks. I try to play it safe. But I do understand what you're saying about like pushback from other people, and that definitely happens in the office. You want to implement a new software, a new procedure, and everybody's like, yeah, no. Um, that is one of the challenges that I've had to face quite a bit. Because I do like changing things. I think change is important. We got to grow, we got to evolve, and things have to change at some point for the better. Um, for good. But anyways, yeah, I haven't really taken a lot of risks. I try to play it safe for the majority. During COVID, you spoke about COVID. That was the year that I took over ownership of the company. So that was a big move for me, because I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready. My dad was like, "Yeah, I can't do this anymore." He was in his mid 80s, and he says, "You gotta take over." And I was like, "What? Okay." So that's kind of what happened with me, and I had to jump in face on. That was our busiest year, believe it or not. We haven't reached those numbers since. We were working like 6, 7 days a week. I mean, it was crazy busy. And, you know, that was a big experience for me. And I took a lot of risk. Well, actually, my dad took the most of the risk by putting me in charge. But, we came out ahead.
I'd say you are a risk taker,
Yeah.
Jody. Okay.
To some
Calculated
degree.
risk, maybe.
Yes. But it all worked out. And during that time, I did have to change things, and I made decisions on my own. And I made a lot of risks, like changing everything that he had done the way he had done it for the past like 30 years, just to bring things to current. And they weren't big risks, but there were lots of little ones. And I think that over time, it definitely paid off because things are more organized, people are happier, things are, where they need to be. And I think just me jumping in head first and just ripping the band-aid off of like 30 different things, I think changed a lot. And that was, what I've done.
so what advice do you ladies have for women who feel underqualified or stuck in their careers or trades?
That question is never asked of a man. It's not, because men step up whether they're qualified or not. And men walk into rooms, and by the way, that's a good thing. I'm not saying that men shouldn't do that. Men continue to do that. But we women need to do it too, right? The greatest gift my first boss ever gave me was putting me in rooms I didn't belong in. Because I got to see what was going on. I got to understand how it feels and how to navigate and how to influence. But if you're not qualified yet, that's just a skill. That's just experience. You're not going to get experience unless you walk through the door and you do it, right? And so from my perspective, we women just need to step forward and raise our hand. And it is challenging. I mean, I'm excited by it now because I'm more than a couple decades in. In the beginning, it's really scary. It's really scary. But you know what? Everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's doing the same thing. And everybody else is scared too. And they do it anyway. And then once you do that, and you're gonna fail, and you're gonna fall on your face, and you're gonna learn, and that pattern recognition is gonna help you in the next phase. And so I mean, if you're underqualified, awesome, go for it. If that's where your passion aligns, you're going to be better. You are going to be better at whatever it is you're talking about. If you are excited and passionate about it, than anyone who has done it for many, many years, because you're excited and passionate about it and curious. And so I say, like, just do it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I would say, two things. One, if either seek mentorship or become a mentor. I think that's a huge part of building confidence and access to opportunity. I feel very fortunate that my first ever mentor was my grandmother, my mom's mom, who came to Miami in her 30s, having never worked in Cuba, she had a great life there, and then ended up going to Barry University, graduating, started an accounting firm. Very rare for that generation to do that here, and as a woman, especially like a Latina woman. And I think she was my first sort of role model in seeing a female, do anything she can to break barriers and to start her own business. And then similarly, I would say for men, I feel very fortunate that I've always been surrounded by men in my life, my father, my grandfathers, that empowered me as a female and never made a big difference between if it was me or my brother. Just chase your dreams, you're in the land of opportunity. That's what they would always say. The world is your oyster, chase your dreams. And so I think that for me, even though I still faced challenges, clearly, as I mentioned before, and barriers within myself, I think having those mentors, and they don't necessarily have to be family, right? It could be someone else in your field. Don't be afraid to reach out to them. Many people love to have conversations with next generation men or women looking for opportunity. And I think taking that first step and that outreach, what's the worst that can happen? We've had incredible, I don't know if you want to call it luck, but inbound outreach from young, hungry, female and male job seekers. And just the passion that I see in the outreach, whether it's email or a LinkedIn message or Instagram DM, and like something stands out, I say, let's grab a cup of coffee or let's have a phone call. Don't be afraid to do that.
Absolutely. I know that's how we connected with Emerge too. So that's wonderful. Jody?
For me, I'm kind of scared. This is my first time being on a panel, and I don't feel like I'm ready still. For leadership sometimes, I guess I still need to come out of my shell quite a bit to be a more outspoken, stronger leader. But I've
done incredible. And this is crazy that this is not does not seem like your first panel whatsoever. You'd be super proud of yourself.
It is. I'm scared.
That's okay. That's okay.
So for me, I think that it's important that, if somebody, my mom always told me, like, nobody's ever ready. You know what I mean? And that goes for anybody, male, female, a lot of people don't feel like they're ready. And unless you make that leap and actually try, you're never going to know. So I think that's the most important thing, is to try to have that confidence and, just push yourself. I mean, you guys elaborated and said a lot of really awesome stuff, but that's kind of what I wanted to add to it is you just gotta try to push yourself, put yourself out there, join organizations, be part of the community, meet other people, and try to get the experience and the support that you need to help yourself feel like you are ready.
Amen.
Let's shift the conversation to technology and the trades and the future of work. What emerging technologies or industry shifts will create opportunities for women in the next decade?
I mean, the tectonic shift just over the last few years in terms of tech and emerging technologies has been massive. It's almost as if, we're back in the times of when the internet first, came aboard. And I think, although I'm not naive and they pose challenges, sometimes ethical challenges, and I think we're talking about AI, right? AI, and if you're thinking even further down the line, there's quantum technologies. But I think these emerging technologies do provide multiple new opportunities for everybody. And clearly for females, I think one massive opportunity is that you don't necessarily need to go to a coding school anymore. Or, and sometimes as females, as mothers, as wives, as partners, you're managing a lot, right? You're managing finances, you're managing your family, you're managing, God knows, a million other things. And you just quite literally don't have the time. And now if you've been burgeoning with building an idea or a company, it's really learning how to prompt is the most important thing right now. How do you prompt these different AI engines, whether it's Claude or ChatGPT or Grok or the million other ones that have come out, to help you? You could build an app in minutes. And I do think that's going to provide a massive landscape of opportunity. Again, comes with challenges, but I think we're seeing almost like the industrial revolution again in terms of opportunity. And I will say, as a business too, and businesses from SMBs all the way up to large corporate Fortune 500s, trust me, everybody's looking at this, because if not, you're just going to fall behind. And it's not a matter of how, it's when, and it's going to happen. So I think not being afraid of learning more about these emerging technologies, immersing yourself a little bit more, studying. There's so much information now about AI, and I think that is going to provide a really, really big opportunity that multiple people wouldn't have had before.
Rebecca?
I couldn't agree more. You're absolutely right. And one of the things, in my view, that makes it a massive opportunity with a lot of challenges and things that we need to keep our eye on is AI right now can't empathize. AI right now is really bad at pattern recognition and connecting the dots. AI is an incredible tool. And women in particular, really excel in a lot of the things that, when brought together, those intersectional challenges. So you need to be a technologist, but you're absolutely right. You don't have to be a technologist anymore. You just have to learn how to prompt, and a storyteller, right? You have to be a strategist and someone who really understands how to execute and operations. And so for me, opportunity lies in really bringing these intersectional skills together. It's no longer, really hyper-focused expertise in one certain area. It's the folks that are really looking across and bringing everything together and connecting the dots that are going to make a real future and opportunity, no matter the gender. I just think there is so much there for folks that are actually thinking and using AI as a tool, but really sitting and learning. And also, I have 4 kids, 2 girls and 2 boys. And one of the things that I am most concerned about, because they are, generation, behind me, were digital natives, right? My kids are AI native. And one of the things that I really stress with them, and one of the things that I'm very concerned about, is they need to learn how to learn. They need to learn how to think. They need to learn how, because those skills and those muscles that
Bridging the gap between
yes,
AI and independent thinkers.
That's exactly it. And it's easier for those of us who aren't native to it, right? Because we had to. I still prefer longhand taking notes, and that helps me absorb information. I still write. I'm a writer so that I know what I think, right? Like that's just, and our kids, or my kids, are being taught differently. When COVID happened, they all went digital, and they're all in their, and by the way, there are so many positives that come with that, but we have to be aware of it, and really utilize it as an opportunity. Because if my kids are growing up and they're not realizing how to prompt, or realizing how to think, or having the judgment skills that are necessary to connect the dots, there's really no chance.
Let me add really quick too. I think something super important is, it could be that it's not just an opportunity to build a new business like we were talking about before, but for those of you that are already in a business, that own a business, there are AI tools that I promise you are going to save you so much time.
Yeah.
And time is your most precious resource. Don't be afraid of those tools. There are tools, for example, if you have a sales team and they're using, Canva or Keynote or PowerPoint, which is more old school, there are AI platforms now that will create the most beautiful sales
Gamma,
decks.
use it.
Gamma, lovable. There's so much. Don't be afraid. because trust me, it's going to give you back so much more time. There are AI platforms. If you want to search it up, it's called run.ai. You give it access to contacts. And if you're meeting with anyone, let's say I was on my way here and I'm meeting with Jody and I'm meeting with Rebecca, it automatically sends me the latest news on them. So when you're meeting with them, it's like, oh, wow, congratulations, just saw that, you were promoted, or little things like that that provide, an extra layer of information that otherwise you wouldn't have had, and also gives you back some time.
And you can feed these platforms your own branding, so it still feels like someone in your team, on your team, created that. So for us, we can put in the colors and the logo. And just one tip: always kind of look through it and make sure that it does look like it's supposed to look like, because again, it's not a perfect technology. I'm going to ask Jody this question for those entering the construction or tech field, but I'll start with you, Jody. For the first time, what's a practical piece of advice?
Definitely for the construction field, I think it's important that, you go and learn how to do the actual job. You don't just learn what it is on paper. Actually physically go out there and do the job, learn it. It'll help you in the long run. You're going to get more credibility. People are going to have more trust in you, and you're going to have a way better understanding of what's actually going on, different problems that can arise. It's way better. So that is my best advice, is to actually physically get out there, get hands-on, and learn exactly what the job entails.
Rebecca?
So I don't know anything about construction, but someone recently told me that I don't know the difference between concrete and cement, which is true. I used to say you pour cement all over it, and someone corrected. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I think that we're in the technology age, right? And it used to be 20 years ago, chief digital officers were all the rage, right? And today, everyone's a technologist. Everything, technology enables everything that we do. And for Better Business Bureau, our differentiator, all of our biggest competitors are actually technology platforms. And our competitive advantage is our people. And the people on the ground that have the local relationships, and that's so critical. But technology is there enabling everything. We must be technologists, but not in the way that technology used to be. We need to be able to manage it. We need to be able to understand it. We need to be able to understand how to connect those dots, because technology enables everything. But I think it's become a part of everything that we're doing. And so technology is an enabler, and then we need to really understand the business of the business. And we're all in different businesses, but the business of the business is enabled by technology, and how you connect those dots is, I think, very critically important.
I want to ask Melissa this question. How can organizations help create a safer, more inclusive workplace culture? And I know there's been a lot of discussion on inclusivity in the past year, but how can organizations do that?
I think similar to what I mentioned before, I think it starts with the leadership, right? And how are you creating an inclusive culture and not creating any division or anything of that nature? And, I'd like to think that it's top of mind for me without making it difficult to think about it. Like, it's something that's just in our organization, in our nature. We are a very inclusive platform. As a matter of fact, we have programs specifically for underrepresented founders to bridge that investment gap. We have pitch competitions for Black founders, for female founders, for veterans. We're trying as much as we can, I think. And if that's permeated through the organization, I think that's the culture that you're creating, right? What are these programs or efforts throughout your organization or your team as a whole? How are you working together? But for me, it's just innate.
It should be part of your core values. I think you should just again, leading with purpose. Think about these groups every day. It shouldn't have to come after. It should just be part of the conversation every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say one big mistake, if you want to, I'll share a story briefly. But, it took us 2 years to plan that first Emerge Americas in 2014. We started evangelizing it in 2012. And when we opened our doors to our first conference in 2014, we were very excited in one end because we were hoping for around 2,500 people and we had 5,000 people, which was great. And it made us realize, okay, this is going to be annual. We're going to grow it. It's going to be a year-round platform. We're going to grow the team. These are all the mistakes we made. But the one thing I noticed when we opened the doors was that it was typical to a lot of other tech conferences. It really was predominantly male. And I was just in shock because, like I said, I feel like it's just part of our culture, and specifically in South Florida, we are such a diverse group here that it kind of, I was just in shock. And then we had to take specific steps with different programming. We launched this thing called Women Innovation Technology to create a platform to elevate female entrepreneurial voices, and taking all those steps. Now, super excited to say we're basically 50-50, and this is within 12 years. And we don't even have that Women in Tech platform anymore because it's threaded into every single one of our stages, our events, our convenings. And, as much as I want to say it's part of it, you do have to take a step back too and analyze what can we do better. And that was a clear, slap in the face to say, we need to do something better here.
Yeah, and if the people in the audience want to be involved, the Levon Center has wonderful opportunities to interact with different groups, veterans, women, entrepreneurs, young, under 40. So check out their programming, check out our programming, because we do support a lot of that. Let's talk about actionable takeaways. I'll start with Jody. What's the one message you want every woman, and also the men in the audience, to walk away with today?
That sometimes you feel like you're not ready, but you are. Just take the chance. I think that's the most important thing. And also, I think everybody needs to learn how to say no. I think saying no is very important. That's something I really personally am going to be working on this year. I never say no. So that is something that it really resonates with me. I say yes to everything, as far as volunteering for things and helping out and being parts of different organizations. And, just really, your time is valuable. If you want to grow and get ahead, you have to learn to say no to the right things, to focus on the things that will help make you better. So that is the main thing for me, is that just learn how to say no, because that's very important.
Except for BBB stuff, right?
I absolutely agree, and that's something I really struggle with too. And it happens to be my New Year's resolution every year is I'm going to try to, have a better hold on my time management. Maybe that's something that's innate too, that we just automatically say yes. And it really is something that I have to think about a lot is, what is the purpose of this? Is it, time? Does it make sense, et cetera, et cetera? But it's something that I really, really struggle with too. I would say, what I said earlier is something that's been ingrained in me, and keeping your word. I think why? Because, there are changes and shifts in life professionally. And there's nothing more important, I think, than your own personal brand. And I don't mean that from what, you look like or what you're wearing. It's more about who you are as a person, and authenticity, and, being transparent, keeping your word, being honest in both professional and your personal life. I think is something that's extremely important to continuously tell yourself.
I think we all need to radically prioritize. Talking about resolutions, understand where you're going, be laser focused on it, and radically prioritize. And oftentimes that means setting boundaries, saying no, right? Teaching people how to treat you, and ignoring the noise and just doing it. and moving forward. But you have to radically prioritize because there's so much noise and there's so much going on. And as you're moving forward, the inertia is going to pull you back. And so it's just continuing to not allow the resistance to hold you back.
Yeah, there's so many wonderful opportunities, things that probably a lot of people didn't have access to before. But I think just because an opportunity sounds great doesn't mean it aligns with your mission, the mission of your business. So yes, learning to say no is important. And I know for us at BBB, we've been presented with wonderful opportunities throughout the years, but it's hard to work with everyone because you're going to burn out your team. You're going to perhaps be taken in a direction that you weren't supposed to be. And so I think that's great, setting boundaries.
It also dilutes impact.
Yes.
So when you're worrying about all these things, and I'm talking about it on a personal level and from an organizational perspective, it really dilutes impact and focus, and that's critical to moving forward in any case.
Yeah, so focus and boundaries, everybody. I'm going to move on to questions. So we have some time for questions, just a few. Let's see, I'm going to get over there. The gentleman had his hand up first.
Any of you could respond to this, or all of you. You brought up the present and future of the impact of LLMs and how to correctly prompt them. My question is related to that, in that as a professional, it doesn't matter what industry we might be in, how does a professional who may have some level of expertise in what they do respond to the outside world who now has access to these LLMs, who can now prompt them to engage with whoever they're dealing with? And now I'm combating someone who's telling me how to do my job. So for example, I have a construction company, and if someone's asking for a particular product, and I say, well, this is what we do and this is how we do it, they'll then respond to this ChatGPT answer that they got, and they know everything about what I've done thousands of times.
Yeah.
And they know it better than I do. And I try to diplomatically respond to it without wanting to be mean, but it's getting harder and harder. And I'm even getting email responses that are clearly copied and pasted from a ChatGPT or some other LLM response. And I want to be able to diplomatically combat it and convey some level of expertise when this person clearly feels that they have it from something that is not necessarily accurate.
I think that's actually your unique differentiator, right? And so this is a parallel example, but my mom suffers from this AI syndrome, which is if any of my kids are sick or anyone in the family has anything, all of a sudden she is, the MD and the expert in the diagnosis and the treatment, and and I think part of it is having that human conversation and layer is actually probably the most important thing, because it's how you differentiate yourself from AI, quite literally copying and pasting and spitting out an answer that is being aggregated. It doesn't mean that it's correct. And I think that's part of the education that you have to give your clients and customers, specifically in your field, where I've been doing this for 20 years. This is from experience, and I'm making this up, but you should use, this type of material as opposed to this, because here are examples of if you use this material, what's going to happen. Just because AI says it doesn't mean it's accurate. I'm not dismissing the fact that that's a challenge, but I also think people are getting smarter about it. I don't think automatic AI responses that people clearly see are not, dashes now, right? Are clear indicator. For those of you that used to use dashes before, pre-AI, don't use them anymore, because that is seen as an indicator of AI, even though many people use them in the past. But it's funny, I'm conscious now when I write an email, if I see it, I'm like, oh gosh, Melissa, delete the dash, because they're gonna think it's AI. I don't want people thinking that my conversation with them was, made digitally. So I do completely agree. I don't know if I answered your question, but I do think it's going to separate yourself. And there's an important layer to AI that is human-centric. Everything cannot be AI. Everyone's not going to lose their jobs because of AI. That's just a myth. There will be some jobs that are replaced. There's no question. That's called streamlining, efficiency, some jobs, but those, I don't think they necessarily have to lose their jobs. It's more of upskilling and, transferring that knowledge to another role. But that's my answer.
I know Lubna had a question.
Thank you all so much for your wonderful presentation, and Cynthia for facilitating a conversation. Lubna Najjar, one of the board members for BBB. A quick question for Rebecca. First of all, we're so excited that you're the new CEO for the IABBB. We were very excited when Rod told us you were joining and bringing your leadership. I'd love for you to share with everybody what your vision is for the IABBB. This is your first year with us. We'd love to hear about you. You come from such an amazing institutional background and leadership, and so share with us what you'd love to achieve this first year, first 5 years, and we'd love to just hear your voice on your perspective.
Why don't you share what you've already done?
Oh yeah.
Don't be shy.
I've been here a little more than 100 days. I will tell you, I was born for this. I am so excited about the opportunity. Better Business Bureau was so integral in so many ways, and it will be again. And in the first 90 days, we have had almost 8 times the amount of engagement on our website because we've made some changes to it. We have saved 1/3 of our budget that is going to directly be invested back into the Federation. We have brought in arguably, but I think the greatest brand agency in the world to help us start to retell our story. And it's not cosmetic. It's not cosmetic. It's not, just a new logo. It's truly telling the stories of how we help local communities and what sets us apart and what makes us different. And so I am so thrilled to really be at this intersection. And I started literally in fourth quarter, right? September 29th. So I had all of fourth quarter to really work together with this incredible team that I have. The team is amazing. And really we put our heads down, and in the first quarter, in the fourth quarter of 2025, we really set the stage and the foundation for 2026 to be the accelerant. And, working with LLMs and, my old colleagues at Google, and really taking the best of what BBB has always been and bringing it up to the future. And we have over 100 years of data on how SMBs have treated their local communities. That is a gold mine. And by the way, for those of you that say, oh, you're not wrong, the more money you make, the more impact you can have. There's nothing wrong with focusing on the business of the business. And so I'm thrilled to be here. I think everyone in the BBB organization has self-selected and is very value aligned and really wants to be a part of the future. I also, frankly, think that we're going to change or we're going to die. I think it's existential. And I think in 5 years, we could be $1 billion organization. I believe that at my core. I also think that we could not be here anymore if we don't all get on the same boat, right? So that is very exciting to me. The people are really exciting to me. The mission is very exciting to me. And so all of the steps along my career, whether it was the federated network, running networks, or, leading brand and reputation at Google, or all of these steps along the way has brought me to this moment. And I couldn't be more proud to be working alongside Rod and others to really make this come alive again. because we just need to dust it off a little bit.
One example.
Sure. Do you want Mike?
If you had gone to our website where Rebecca was here and you are a Spanish speaker, good luck. And Cynthia and I have been yelling about this for years. And in that first thing we did, just one very small example of getting the right person.
Well, and we call ourselves international. I mean, Canada is kind of international. We're going to be international. But you can't be an international organization without multiple languages. You just can't. That doesn't, that is not living who you are. And so we are an international organization. We believe in all of the communities that we serve. And so it's just the first step of many to truly make us an international organization that is inclusive of all of the communities that we serve, not just the one.
I have time for one more question, so I think I'll take away.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Anna Sassamerson. Wonderful panel. Thank you so much for all the value. Rebecca, I have a question for you. I just think that what you shared is so impactful, and best of luck in this mission.
We all need it.
Yes, we do. So I envision this world where humans and AI really do live symbiotically. And I believe that what you shared is incredibly important. So I want to ask you, what are you doing? What tricks you have to heighten adoption of technology while maintaining human mattering super central? What are you doing with your team to really focus on those two equally the same while people really do not feel undervalued and or maybe even worse, irrelevant?
Well, thank you for the question. It's a big one. It's really important with AI to have experts engaging with it. The gentleman that asked the first question, he's an expert in what he does. And the great thing about AI is for the experts, it makes them so much more productive. So like I used to spend hours making sure that every, bullet had a period or didn't have a period. And I shared this with Rod, I put my resume through AI and said, like, check for grammar, right? It changed my picture. And it made me some weird AI, like it was, and so, but I say that to say that AI isn't replacing expertise. And what it's doing is, like in the example of my kids, it's enabling people not to think or to outsource their judgment or to outsource their reasoning. But for those of us that have expertise, and man, Better Business Bureau has a lot of expertise, it's really training folks how to prompt. It's really, use your expertise. That is something no one can take away from you. And that is something that is a differentiator and a competitive advantage. And so I wouldn't say in my first 100 days, I've been focused on making sure that the team is integrating AI into their day-to-day. However, we have the expertise that really no one else has. No, none of our competitors out there have the local relationships. None of our competitors have, and it's not just boots on the ground, it's really trusted relationships that have been built over time and bumps along the road. And I mean, you're not closer to anybody as close as you are with people that you've been in the trenches with, right? And so there is real value in the expertise, and that's what BBB has in spades. BBB, I think, has fallen behind in a lot of ways from a technology perspective. BBB has fallen behind certainly from a brand perspective, but that's easy to fix. You can't fix a lack of expertise. You can't fix a lack of integrity. You can't fix a lack of goodwill and kindness, right? So I think the opportunity is huge for us to take all that expertise and the integrity and everything that BBB was built on and add in these tools, just like any other tools, to help us just accelerate. And 2026 is all about acceleration, accelerate into the future.
Thank you so much. I want to give a round of applause to our wonderful panel of experts. And before you guys walk off, please take some time to leave some words for our scholarship recipient. It's over there. And lunch is served, and take some time to connect, get to know one another. And any pictures you take, please tag us at BBBS EFL. Thank you so much for joining us.
I was thinking,
And what?
yeah. Oh, I watched you there.
Oh.
I live in Brooklyn.
No, your stress is cold. You feel me bright. You got me thinking about you.
I was like, that should go. I know.
How about the new?
I used to want her. Yeah. Take parts. Parts. Very natural.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's another way.
And everybody got.
I know you gotta make it look good. Of course, yes. Oh, yeah. I'll learn that. I know you guys are really. I used to live there. I'm now. I do.
We could get one of the meat. Okay. Yeah. Make it? Oh. Why don't we do it on Monday? Okay.
Either way. Or we could do. You're on LinkedIn. I guess I don't think I don't work on this. Yeah. I have been. Yeah.
Feel like we're zombie.
Someone's got a hold of me. Though I don't know myself. Feels like a walls are all closing in. Who's knocking in my door? Out of my mind, how many times did I take you? It's on, trying my best to keep from tearing the skin off my bones. Don't you When I'll pop right in front of you, can't go.
Hey.